Hello everyone and welcome to Unboxing Umbraco 11.3 and 10.5. To help me show the new features and improvements in the latest versions of Umbraco, I've invited head of CMS at Umbraco along. Welcome, Bjarke. And we'll show a couple of demos and talk a little bit about the very latest release. And you can, of course, always jump over to the Umbraco blog. It's linked in the description here, and read the full release blog post as well, and get the full details and see all the improvement and fixes in there. All right, kind of a small-ish release, but there's a few nice little features that'll help make life a little easier, especially if you're on 11.3. And I'll just start out with the first one, I think, if I pop up my PowerShell here. The first one is related to telemetry. Now, this is something we added a while back, 9.4, I think, or something like that, right? And we are starting to gather some pretty good data about Umbraco. And that's the wrong name, but I'm sure it's the right one. Let's see. Run it here, and we started to gather some good data with this telemetry, which is really helpful. It kind of tells us a little bit about how people are using the CMS, right? But we still have a couple of things we'd like to know a little bit more about, Bjarke. I know there was a blog post recently talking about this as well.
Yes, so the thing is, we only get really valuable data if the telemetry data is set on the detailed level. On that level, we have information about what property editors are used and these kind of things, how many members, how many users. It's basically just numbers, but it tells us what parts of Umbraco is used out there.
Yeah. And what we're talking about is, of course, on the right side here, content for telemetry data. And as you can see, there's 3 different settings: detailed, basic, and minimal. And when you click on them, they will explain pretty much what is exactly what is sent in each of the settings here. Now, we used to have basic as the default, and that is actually the demo here is when you run a new installation of Umbraco, it'll now default to detailed. And of course, the hope is more people will choose or simply just install with detailed turned on and give us a little bit more information about how Umbraco is used out there.
Exactly. We discussed it with our community teams and the community in general, and the feedback was it was not the intention not to share the detail. It was more people just forgetting about it.
And of course, it's not like it's a decision you make forever and ever for the site. If for some reason you should have a need to change it down the line, you can still access it in the settings section. There's a dashboard, shows pretty much the same information as here, and then you can change it there. That also means that if you have sites running with basic or minimal telemetry settings out there, you can go in and change it to details, and that would be a huge help for everyone. We all benefit from having solid data in there. Cool. Well, that was the first one.
Yeah.
Quick and dirty.
Then I will share my screen. The next one is about how we index data for searching. So I set up a simple site here with a doc type with a block grid and a block list, and an element with just a text box, rich text editor, media picker, and tags. And I have some content in these, as you can see here. This is how it was before 11.3, so this is in 11.2. But if we go and see how this was indexed before, we will see that it's basically just a JSON blob for the complex types like the block grid, the block list, and even inside this, we have the tags is also just a JSON serialization of an array. So we looked into that and tried to fix it. So here I have the exactly same setup on an 11.3. And if I go to the examine management and try to see how it's indexed now, we can see here it's divided into, basically it's not JSON anymore. So
yeah.
The property name is now the collection of all the sub properties. So you can see here the text box have AAA and block 2 and so on. So these are parts of this one, but you can also dive into it if you would like. Yeah, and it's,
I guess that basically just means that it should be a lot easier to work with when you're working with Examine, right?
Exactly, it should be searchable, even that you have your data inside a grid or a block list out of box.
Yeah, and you don't have to do a ton of custom conversion of the data or indexing in order to have it properly searchable. So yeah, looks like a really big improvement, I would say.
Yeah, it's actually a bug fix because it was just never implemented by mistake. And that's also why we bring this for 10.5. We really consider the bug fix.
Yeah. So it's both in 11.3 and 10.5. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's really nice. And I guess there was a couple of the complex data types that were or has always been indexed correctly. Like the old grid, I think, was handled okay. Yeah.
Exactly. The old grid was nested content was not, but we also updated it just in case you use it.
Yeah.
And the same for the media picker. Instead of adding some data that is not searchable at all, like a GUID, we decided just to not index anything because it's also just waste of storage.
Yeah. So a little bit more efficient as well.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Very nice. Okay, and then it is my turn. Now, next up, I've just booted up another site here. It's nice. There we are. So just a simple site with a couple of content nodes in here. And the new thing and this is exclusive for 11.3 as it is a new feature, but the new thing here is that if you access the culture and host names dialog here, you'll see it looks a little bit different. Pretty much the same text in here, but you'll see that the interface has been updated a little bit. And this is done to make it kind of easier to create and also maintain if you have multiple host names down the line and add other host names as well. So one thing I really like about this is if you click the little arrow out here, you can add the current domain. So it simply just grabs whatever domain you're running. I'm on localhost, right? But whatever domain you're running, and then you can easily go in and add a subdomain, for example. So I could go in and say I want to add one more with the current domain, and we could call this one Danish. And select Danish here, save that. And if we go to content node now, we should see we've got all of our host names in here. And the other feature, aside from adding the current domain, or the current host name, is that we can now sort our host names, which is quite nice. So if we just refresh here, we should see that now Danish is the first host name and so forth. And this can actually be really useful for the sites that are running with a lot of host names in there. like big multilingual sites and stuff like that. So again, just a really nice little feature that helps make it a little bit easier to maintain your site. Cool.
Then I'll try to show the next one. I'm back on my 11.3 version, and the feature is the possibility to add macros inline now. So I created a super simple inline macro. I just hard-coded a number, but the idea is this could be a calculated value or whatever. It could be anything, but this will be inline added. I created my macro. I allow it in rich text editors. The new feature, which is using existing functionality, is you can add a parameter with the name or the alias enable inline macro and use the toggle type. This will enable you to use it inline. So we'll try to do it here. If I add, say this should be inline, you will see it inline. And if I choose something without, it's inline. And it can, of course, be together with all the other parameters you have. But instead of wrapping it into a div element, it's wrapped into a span.
Yeah.
So a small feature, actually 100% community driven. It's just a nice small addition.
Yeah, it looks really nice and really useful as well for the ones that are using macros a lot.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. And I guess also using the good old magic string convention that we have in Umbraco as well. So it's one of those things. If you know it, it's really easy to implement. But you have to know it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, really nice. All right. The last one we're gonna highlight in the video today is a little improvement for developers. So this is also really handy for people that are working with multilingual sites, and it's basically making it easier to work with or to implement fallback values in a good way. So on the issue, you can go in and read about it. Ronald has actually made a really nice description here, and he also has a really good example of how much easier it is. As you can see here, implementing sensible defaults before could be quite verbose, so quite a lot of stuff in here. And with the new one, you can see it's actually really easy and really readable to implement these fallback values. So is it a new helper that's been added here?
It's a new value in the fallback type.
Oh yeah. Excellent. But yeah, just really nice and makes it quite a lot easier to both write and read the code afterwards and see what's actually going on there.
Definitely.
So really nice. All right. As always, with new Umbraco releases, it's not just us doing a bit of work. There are quite a few people that are contributing to each of the releases, and once again, it's more than 50% of all the fixes and features in 11.3 that are made by the community, and actually quite a large number of new contributors have made it this time as well. And I think part of that might be because there was a little event in Bristol last month.
Yeah.
And you attended that as well, right? Oh, you didn't attend that. No, but we were there and had a little hackathon the day before the event, I think.
Yeah, there was a couple of team members from our team over there, and both looking into the existing back office and the new back office, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that project is really starting to get a lot of traction, so that's really nice. But it also meant that there was other small fixes and additions added here. Quite a lot of them have made it into these 2 releases. So let's just go through the list of new contributors this time around. It's Joe Mehmet with 2 PRs, Menno Moot, Miska Huskafel, Karen Blackmore, Donald Nairn, Nuklon, Smikey95, Morten Willebrands, Joe Mandel, Matt Begent, Aaron Green, and then there's a whole list of returning contributors again. So really nice to see, and a massive high five, you rock, to everyone. Yeah, huge help. Just adds a ton of great improvements to each of these releases. So thanks everyone for adding this. Yeah, and of course, you can head over to our and find both the releases. We are cheating a little bit. They aren't released yet, so that's why it says release candidate here, but 10.5 is out. And as you can see, quite a lot of features and fixes in here. And the same goes for Umbraco 11.3. See, almost the same, just a couple of features more in this one, but pretty much exactly the same in both of the releases.
Yeah, and 10.5 also includes some of the bug fixes from 11.2.
Oh yeah, because of course it's not following the 6 weeks cadence, so it takes a little bit, sometimes a little bit longer for them to get the fixes in. But I think it's really good that we are adding all of those fixes to the LTS release as well. So, well, excellent, Bjarke. Thank you very much for participating and showing off the new release.
Of course, you're welcome.
And if nothing goes completely wrong, I guess we'll see each other in about 6 weeks' time, probably.
Most likely.
All right. Have fun with 11.3 and 10.5 out there, and take care.
Yeah.
See you in the next one.
See you all.
Bye.